Yep, 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 yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. Thanks for joining episode 26 of the Finnish Football Show. It's taken us 3.5 years to get to episode 26. I'm Mark Wiltshire, joined as always by Mark Hayton. Hi, Mark.
All right.
And by Keke. Hi, Keke.
Hello.
And by Rich. Hi, Rich. How are you?
Hello, very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. And as we decided last time, we're not from anywhere other than the Finnish Football Show.
Yes,
That's right.
This is like our third show in about 45 days. The pace that we're pumping these things out is quite something in comparison to previous months and years. So let's see if we can keep this up. This episode is live on Podbean. If you're listening live, and no one is at the moment, then remember it allows listeners to call into the show. So if you have something to say about Finnish football and you want to call in, give it a try. Somebody tried last week while we were in the middle of something and it wasn't possible to answer straight away. So maybe if you want to call in, make a little message on the chat in the middle of the screen there and let us know you want to call in, and I'll reply, and then we'll invite you to come join us. Somehow, Rich, you are showing twice, so I've removed one of you. Rich, are you still there?
yes, I am. Hello.
Yes. Okay. Good. So we're all in, and there's a space for another person should somebody want to join us. We now have. Last time we did this, we had 11 followers on Podbean. Now we have 37. These numbers are going up through the roof. So keep it going, and let us know that you're out there, and let us know what you have to say about Finnish football. If you're not listening live, we still want your input. So podcast listeners, use social media to get in touch with us with your feedback. Mark, we're doing all of this under the Finnish Football Show, but we keep in our own Twitter handles that people are familiar with. So Mark is at FC Suomi. I am at Explore Finland. There's at Keke Mulleri, and there's at Escape to Suomi, the return of the Escape to Suomi. You'll also find the Finnish Facebook, the Finnish Facebook show, the Finnish Football Show Facebook. We have a new page which is connected to the group. The page works in different ways to the group, so we started that up. But if you go to search for Finnish Facebook, you'll find the page, and you'll also find a link to the group. And ask to join. We'll let you in, and we can keep the conversation going when the show is not on the air. So this week, I think we'll recap the end of the Veikkausliiga season. In episode 25, we kind of previewed the final few games where everything was up for grabs, and playoff games will come in as well. We'll discuss who won those European places, the promotion and relegation between the leagues. We'll also have regular features like Jasilla Sipuli, I think, and following, but surely there's only one place to start this week, and that was with last week's games for the Finnish national team, the Huuhkajat against Liechtenstein and Greece. So, without further ado, let's start the first half. Okay, we're in, chaps. So, it was quite something last week, wasn't it? Let's go through it match by match rather than hitting everyone with all the stats to begin with. So, Friday, 15th to the 11th, Finland 3. There's a date that goes down in history. I heard that sound. Finland 3, Liechtenstein 0, and it had quite an impact. Who wants to explain what that result meant for the Finnish national team?
Should be someone who was there, surely.
Mark?
Yeah.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
I thought you'd all be bursting with enthusiasm, and
I'm sort of spent.
I'm not sure if we can quite actually believe it still.
I'm still pinching myself. But, I mean, we met up. I mean, I guess the first thing is we met up with Keke before the game, and we were all pretty confident. But there was that still sort of that thing in the air that like we could still find a way to screw it up. But it was it was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know, like if you want to talk about the feeling and the emotion, like just the running the pitch at the end with the whole crowd just storming it. It was raucous. I don't think I've ever been. The stadium was packed itself, and I think for the vast majority of the game, the crowd was singing, like basically every minute, every second, because it was a good game. Like on the pitch, we dominated it, so there was a lot of reasons to sing. But it was such a brilliant atmosphere, and it was such a brilliant day, such a brilliant game. I sort of can't believe that nothing went wrong. You know what I mean?
I think we've all seen it happen many times before. Was it the Iceland game, like maybe 2.5 years ago, where things seemed to be going well, and then there were a late equaliser and an even later winner for Iceland, and it was gutting at the time. But you're right. I think we were confident going into this game. Of course, winning 3-0 or winning anything meant that Finland qualified for Euro 2020, the first time Finland has qualified for any major competition. You gave us some. The passion was still there, Mark. We'll come back to you in a minute. But Keke, you were also there.
I was.
This was your first home game.
It was my first home game. What a way to lose my home game cherry. It was absolutely brilliant. The whole day was fantastic. I mean, I arrived to
Helsinki. Your day a little bit. What you did?
Well, I arrived to Helsinki on Thursday afternoon. Met up with my friends straight away. One of my friends met me at the airport, and we had a pint straight away. So that was a good way to start, and that was the theme. The theme continued. So met up with the Jyväskylä boys later in the evening. Had a few pints. We didn't go crazy because most of us wanted to keep a clear head for the Friday. And then when we woke up on Friday, the whole city was just full of anticipation, excitement. There was a little bit of nervousness, and as the morning turned into afternoon, more and more people were finishing work early, or getting out of their office as soon as they could, and more people making their way to the city centre for the meeting points. And it was just, the excitement was building and building and building. It was like Mark said, it was like nothing. I've been to the FA Cup final with West Ham. I've been to playoff finals, but this was really, something else. It was
What did you do to pass your time during that day?
Drinking mostly.
Oh,
no. We went for a spot of lunch. We went for a spot of lunch with the lads, just to so we weren't straight in the pub. And then we had we walked from Callio, which is where the guys were staying, to we walked through up past Lindsay and to one of the parks up there. Met up with everybody else, and then we made our way down to the central area to meet up with all the SMU core guys, and had a few more pints. I met Mark in the pub, so that was great.
Is that the first time you guys have met face to face?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that was that was.
We got close in Tallinn, but then something.
Yes, something went a bit wrong. But no, it was brilliant. Met up with Mark in the pub, and introduced him to a couple of my friends, and we had a couple of pints in there. And then before you knew it, it was time for the march to start. So we went down to the square, to the meeting place, I think it took us maybe what was it, over an hour to march. Hour and a half or something to march to the stadium. There was fireworks, bangers, flares, you name it. It was all going off. There was choreographed singing and chanting from the guys. It was unbelievable.
Were you guys marching together, or?
No, Mark disappeared by then. He'd gone off. So, but when you say were we marching, everybody was marching together, Mark. It was like one, there was people, faces you knew everywhere. It was it was excellent, and I have to say one of the well, if not the best pre-match atmosphere I've ever been in my life. There was a little bit of tension, but it was mostly confident excitement. It was like it was tinged with the the regular Finnish feeling of maybe we still could screw this up
Yeah.
somehow. But yeah, it was so good. We made our way to the ground. I think I feel sorry for the people who weren't able to get tickets. I mean, obviously, if the Olympic Stadium had been ready, they would have sold that out. So, but something about it being in the Telia and that smaller stadium close to the pitch, it just added to the atmosphere for me.
And the atmosphere was amazing. I was watching, so I couldn't have been much further away from the game. I was on a work trip in Valencia, watching the game on my laptop while connected to my phone internet connection, roaming. And I thought, well, I don't really want a huge bill, but they promised it's not so expensive nowadays, and I can't miss this one. So I was practicing.
With your track record with technology as well, that was a dodgy thing to have to do.
Well, yeah, what we were talking about before the show. But it sounded amazing. I missed a little bit before the game, but then got there after a couple of minutes in and heard everything. Mark.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to say actually before about the pre-match stuff, because whenever they get it wrong, we always pound them a lot. And I think one thing that we should point out is for the march, for the way there, for the fan control, the stewards, the police, everything else around the organisation, and the game stuff, that was all brilliant.
It was all spot on.
It was all spot on. Yeah, they were all in a good mood. Everybody was. There was nothing too heavy-handed, nothing too hairy. So that the game management from the officials and the organisers was also, it was just enjoyable. Like we were all having a laugh. So
kudos to Polar League though, and for once.
Yeah, and the police as well. The cars that were being stopped in the traffic and the buses, everybody was just sort of banging on the windows and tooting their horns. It was like the whole country was pulling in the same direction. It was absolutely brilliant. And we got, obviously, everybody converged onto the stadium more or less at the same time for the Pohjoiskara section anyway, and getting in the ground was no problem. I didn't have any problems getting in. All that went smoothly. Took up our positions, and it went from there. Just have to say as well, I don't know if you guys managed to catch it on the telly or have you seen the pictures since, but the tifo went off brilliant as well. Some of the guys had spent almost 2 weeks putting that more than that planning, obviously, but the actual creation of that thing took a good 2 weeks of solid effort. So
were you under it, Keke?
I was, yeah.
Okay. So Mark, you weren't. What did it look like?
It was the Huuhkajat, right? Was that the one?
It was the
Big Suomi one.
The big Suomi, yeah, and then
The
down the
one,
front, yeah, and then down the front it said "Aika meidän tuloton." So it was excellent. It was, and it covered the whole stand. It was like unbelievable, and we managed to keep it up there for a good sort of 5 or 6 minutes before people started trying to make holes in it to see what was going on the pitch. But yeah, so big thanks to those guys who put all the effort in to organise that as well. It was honestly absolutely brilliant.
And that slogan translates as "Our time has come."
Yep.
Go on, Mark.
Did you then get to see Purusari's disallowed goal? Because that was
yeah. So
4 minutes
yeah.
in.
Yeah. So the tifo came down just before kickoff, and yeah. So we were there for the disallowed goal, and obviously when that went in, everyone thought, here we go. But yeah, ruled out. It was offside, wasn't it? In the end.
It was Yassi Dormian was offside. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I got to say, then a little bit of nerves started to creep into some of the guys around us, But as Mark said, the singing and the capos did their job, keeping everybody singing, and it was it just went. The atmosphere just built and built and built, and then, what time was it? We scored the first goal. Was it crikey 20 or something? I can't
it was about
remember.
17, 18 minutes, I think it was. Something like that.
And then everybody just went bananas up at that point and started to relax a little bit,
Yeah, the first goal was 21 21 minutes. Yeah, you're right, and it did seem to calm down. What about when I say calm down, I don't mean the atmosphere, but just the nerves.
Yeah, the nerves. That's right.
Settled mind. What about the performance? Maybe Rich, you're there at the moment. So what about how is the performance compared to what we've seen in recent games?
Well, I think in this game, because we know what Liechtenstein are going to turn up. It's damage control. They had 2 points from 8 games before that, and I guess from Finland's point of view, they could spend the whole 4 or 5 days beforehand preparing to break down a team with 11 men behind the ball. So it was no surprise to them that there was essentially a Liechtenstein bus in front of the goal. But they didn't panic, and I think that's quite easy to do in that situation where a couple of chances go wide, or the nerves start getting into the players. But it shows what the preparation was like beforehand, that they were able to sort of just think, right, we just need to keep doing what we're doing. We've got the players who can break through. There's pace, and ultimately that's what did it. Everything in the build-up, there were the words starting to creep in. Teemu Pukki promised that we'd win. Hradecky was saying, "I'll have a beer in my hand by 9 o'clock." But Tim Sparv, I suppose, in his role as captain, has had to be a bit more level-headed. But we saw, Liechtenstein had a couple of chances throughout the game, particularly in the first half. But mainly it was clearly that preparation that they had. You can imagine on the training pitch, they'd loaded everyone else in the squad playing attack v defence, and it showed because they didn't panic. They got the reasonably early goal helped. I mean, if it had got to half time at 0-0, things would have been very different. But I think you could see that on the pitch and the way the players set up.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it, to see Finland playing against a formation of 5-5-0 quite a lot of the time, when let's say 3 years ago, that's kind of the formation they were playing almost for themselves. Some of the football, some of the 1 and 2 touch football, and it's not the first time I've said that. It's been like that for a year or so. You just sit there watching it, thinking, "This is Finland."
Yeah, the pass and move was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think this is the point of the Nations League. I'm sorry.
So no, carry on, Rich.
Well, I think that the advantage of the Nations League, and obviously Finland got promoted from their group, but it encourages teams playing against a similar-ish level. And part of the idea of the bottom league is that teams play against other teams, so they don't set up deliberately to play 10 behind the ball. They actually, spend some time. Even Liechtenstein, Andorra, Luxembourg will have an opportunity to play out a little bit more. And I think Finland is it's not that often in qualifiers that Finland are the better, or certainly the significantly better team. And I think the fact that they've had that confidence of the last sort of year, 18 months, has given that, where they're not suddenly like, "Oh God, what do we do? We're expected to win." They, prior to that, they'd won 5 of their 8 games, and were the strong favourites to qualify. So I think, that there's a lot to be said about momentum.
Yeah, I think, and at the same time though as well, they've got we've got now 3, 4, 5 players who really like being on the ball, like Glenn Kamara and Purusori, and like Teemu himself. Glenn Kamara, he was walking about the pitch, and they couldn't lay a glove on him. He was just fabulous again at holding the ball, making space, feeding it through, and connecting the play. I thought he was amazing, and Soiri as well. He can be a little bit hit and miss and a little bit lightweight sometimes, but when he gets the ball at his feet and he gets the sort of a right stride on, he's unbelievably quick, and you can tell he sort of really enjoys running at players, and that's the sort of that kind of the momentum's good. The competitive experience from the Nations League is also well timed, but we've also got a bunch of younger guys coming through now that really seem to like playing football, which helps no end.
Yeah, and it was Soiri's running, wasn't it, that won the penalty for the second goal?
Yeah, that how he did. I was in the stand just next to where he picked the ball up, on about level with the 18-yard box, and it was a looping bounce ball. It was an awkward one to control, But he managed to control it, I think, sort of flick it around and then make the guy before burning past him. And this poor Liechtenstein defender, he didn't have a clue. He had absolutely no idea where Sori was. Like, he'd just gone. He'd just totally lost him. And then went through the back of him just purely out of frustration because it was his last chance. It was a hell of a turn. Oh, he's really quick.
He looked bamboozled because the look on his face afterwards was like, kind of like, what just happened?
Yeah. The guy's absolutely magic.
We were a bit like that down the other end because we were at the opposite end from the penalty kick, so we weren't quite sure what had happened. First of all, we thought the ref had given a free kick, and then obviously after the couple of seconds of them sorting out what was going on, saw it placed on the spot, and then everyone was like, "Whoa, here we go!" And once the goat stepped up, there wasn't any doubt really.
No.
But that was in the 63rd minute. Huuhkajat got the penalty, and it was 2-0.
Yeah, and then the half an hour after that was pretty much party time. It was just
yeah.
Around the whole stadium.
Yeah.
And he finished it off with a third.
What time did that come, Mark?
75.
Yeah, so 75. So and that 15-20 minute wait for the inevitable pitch invasion was quite a long time actually, because 3-0 up, that goal went in, everyone's like, right, this is it, we know it's there. I'm not joking, there were, and I'm not ashamed to say, there were grown men in there in tears, just like people, everyone around just couldn't believe it. This is really happening. We've done it. And so those next 15 or 20 minutes sort of seemed to take an age, but once the old ref put the whistle to the lips and blew up, you obviously all see what happened next.
Like a tidal wave of Finns coming down from the stands on all sides of the pitch, and this mass congregation in the middle of the field.
So it was
funny. I think a lot of people are expecting a UEFA charge, but I don't think they're getting anything. They did all the they dished all the disciplinary stuff out for the round of games yesterday, and Finland weren't on it.
So did you see that dodgy Twitter thing going around saying UEFA charged Finland for violent pitch invasion? It had the pictures of the two kids in their Harleys waving flags. But it wasn't, obviously it wasn't. What can you say? There wasn't any ill. I feel stupid even saying it. It was all just a party. And once the first few had made it onto the pitch, again, as Mark said, kudos to the stewards. They just opened the gates, so people didn't have to jump over anymore. They were just streaming through the gates.
But they formed a barrier, didn't they? So the players and the TV, the crews and everything were behind this barrier. Right. But because we're in Finland, everyone was celebrating on the pitch, but no one was trying to get through that barrier. It was all quite very respectful and excited and passionate. It was amazing.
So, it was just a party in the middle. It was just jumping up and down.
And then the fireworks started to go off from outside the ground, and it was for the first few minutes the players sort of didn't know what had hit them. They were just they were. Obviously they'd put everything out on the pitch, and some of them were just standing there. Some of them were just hugging everybody, and it was great. It was when they made their way back towards the tunnel that the stewards sort of formed the defensive ring around them, so that they could crack on with their media duties and such like. But but the players were great. They popped back in and then came back out and had a bit of a sing song with everybody. It was really amazing.
Okay, what on earth were you doing to Finland captain Tim Sparv's leg?
Oh, well, yeah, it was all a bit of a blur, really, but somehow...
there's evidence,
Yeah, I know, yeah, photographic evidence. Just went over to give him a cuddle, and, he ended up on our shoulders somehow. So, well, not quite on our shoulders, sort of hoisted him. He's a big lad, so, yeah, sort of hoisted him up a bit. And as you can see, he's sort of, his legs wrapped around my neck. I don't know if that's quite where he wants to be, but
I think
that's a hell of a celebration.
the exact look on your face at that time is, "Whoa, he's heavier than he looks."
Exactly, yeah. But I didn't try and lift him on my own. There were other people involved. But no, it was excellent. It was excellent. Just while we're on it, did you see who was it? Was it Pirinen? Did you see the video of Pirinen at the final whistle where he seems to be
He was trying.
so funny. He seems to be saying like, no, get back, and then the next thing you see is just him cuddling one of the fans. You know, like, yeah, get back, okay, yeah, no problem.
All right, come on, yeah.
But it was amazing, and then obviously we partied long into the night after that.
Yeah, you and seemingly the entire Finland squad, because there was a message from Tim Sparv a day or two ago saying that for the following game, which is on the Monday after the Friday,
Yeah,
away
they were
to
a bit
Greece,
hungover.
they hadn't had the best preparation.
Yeah.
And it certainly looked like that from watching the game as well. So I was a bit, obviously a bit disappointed they lost. So but Mark, you wrote an article like previewing the game on Monday, and you said that if Finland win, then they would be seeded in the third pot of seeds for the Euros next year, rather than in the fourth pot. So it kind of mattered. So I sat down to watch it, thinking, right, this game matters. They'll have a pretty strong team. I think you thought the same thing, and and they'll really try and win this. And well, none of those things happened. It was a much changed team. They weren't really in the game, a bit sloppy. I mean, you're right, Keke. They've kind of played like I used to play on a Sunday morning after a night out on the Source, to be honest. And lost the game 2-1.
I mean, it was a surprising selection, wasn't it? Really, but I just honestly think, in a similar way to a lot of my friends who went down to Greece as well, like the team hadn't even been to bed yet before they got on their flight. So I honestly, it's got to be the truth, And Sparv was honest enough to say, in a roundabout sort of way, we haven't had the best preparation. We've been on the piss for 2 days. So yeah, but it started brightly enough.
It was all right. And I mean, I think the other thing is that, I mean, I don't know if we've got lucky or if there was a big grand plan, but the difference between pot 3 and pot 4 looks to be that we're now going to end up in a group that's got Russia, Belgium, and Denmark, as opposed to a group that could have Italy, France, and Sweden. You know what I mean? And
they could still have that group.
We can still get into that group.
Yeah, so because Wales won. Wales qualified, so Finland will go in either the Copenhagen St Petersburg group or because Wales won, they can go into the Rome Baku group.
Ooh, that's scary.
So it has to be one of those two groups, because the other groups will have a playoff winner in them in pot 4.
Yeah, I must admit, I saw all these messages between you guys, like starting maybe as soon as the game finished or even earlier, and I was just like, it makes my brain ache. There's so many permutations. Let's just let the qualifiers be finished, and then we'll see what goes on. So when are the groups kind of decided for the Euros?
So they're going to do the playoff draw on Friday this week, and then the finals draw will be on Saturday the 30th.
Yeah.
And they've said that there may, depending on who wins the playoffs, there might need to be a second draw in April, I think, after the playoffs, but it's unlikely. But yeah, we'll know exactly which group Finland are in next week, and we know that they won't be playing a playoff team, so those groups will be set.
Right. Okay. Well, why is that not playing a playoff team?
Well, the playoff teams will all be in pot 4 with Wales and Finland.
Oh, I see.
So they have to be. So Wales and Finland can only go into one of two groups. And it's all to do with who's host, because there's 12 different hosts. Certain
Some
countries
geopolitical stuff as well.
So Ukraine can't play Russia, for example, because there's a minor skirmish. So we already know that in Group B, we already know 3 of the 4 teams, for example. So just this, because it's this odd way the tournament's being set up.
Yeah, it would be good, really, wouldn't it, in future, if they went back to a format of it being hosted in one
Yeah.
The next one will be
Yeah,
hosted
yeah,
in Germany.
it's absolutely, yeah.
So Germany have got the next one in for
Oh,
5.
right, okay.
Let's hope we qualify for that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why not? Why not build on this now?
Exactly. But interestingly, with this like sort of geopolitical, you can't play him and he can't play you stuff. If they're drawn in the knockout, they just say, "Ah, forget that now, get on with it." So let's be honest. Why don't you just make it from the start?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember how many guys at UEFA have a job because of this complex system.
Ah, gotcha.
I'm amazed this
counted.
bald FIFA guy has gone to. Bald UEFA guy is now bald FIFA guy. That I'm amazed they've managed to keep it going. But
Here we go, right?
And we've gone off that topic pretty quickly. But anything else to say about the game with Greece on Monday?
Jordan played well.
Yeah.
Jordan did play well, yeah.
So Jesse Orinen is the replacement goalkeeper or reserve goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I also thought the Vaisanens played well, the centre backs. I thought Leo and Sauli Väisänen also had a decent game. They didn't have much support from midfield or from the fullbacks, but I thought they did all right in the middle.
Yeah, and also I tell you who kind of caught my eye, and I think it was on Monday rather than in the game on Friday when he came on as a sub. But Joni Galko.
He played really well. He played really well against Greece. Had some really silky touches. He was full of running, and he really tried to make a difference.
Because he's tall and big
Strong.
and
He's really
shaped and
strong.
headed, and he looks like that midfield kind of bruiser. And when I've seen him play for the national team before, he's come on more in a midfield position, but he seemed to be playing further up on Monday.
He's absolutely mental, so I don't think anyone really wants to go near him. He's got that look about him as well.
He had that look about him. Yeah, that's true enough. So
positive. He played well.
Yeah, he did play well. Yeah, and so positives, even if the result was not what we might have hoped for.
I think Mark was right though to mention the Vaisanens because I think Leo ended up getting the man of the match award. And what is he, 20, 22, 23?
Yeah,
he's a younger one, isn't he?
Yeah, playing where? Which club is he playing at?
Den Haag in Holland, isn't he?
Okay.
Den Bosch, is it? Den Bosch?
One Den something.
Yeah. One of the Dennises, anyway.
Yeah,
Dennis Waterman.
Okay, I reckon we might have summarised those two games. We got some real passion. It was beautiful to hear you guys just reminiscing on the bits that you can remember. And well done, Keke. There's a lot more than you've managed in certain issues in the past. So
this was I had a lot clearer mind for this than I did for Estonia away. So
that's the one.
I'm pleased for that. I shall honestly cherish these memories forever.
And of course we're in the kind of the closed season here in Finland at the moment. I think the clubs are probably coming back for training in December. Most of the Finnish national team players are all overseas, so they'll be continuing to play. But the national team now, am I right, Mark, in thinking the next games are the desert friendlies in January?
Yeah, they usually set up they'll be going, I would imagine, to Doha this time rather than Abu Dhabi. But I think the squad will be announced for that. It's usually announced after Independence Day, so it'll be about the 10th of December, something like that, when they'll announce the squad and hopefully the opponents. And with a bit of luck, we can get somebody that's not like the Sweden B team, but we can get like Morocco or Oman or somebody like that. Someone with a decent, competitive.
These games have been a challenge to watch in the past. I mean, not like you're able to watch them, but it's been really hard work doing so.
Yeah, some of them. It's tough. It's 35 degrees is normally the
it's
average.
It's good preparation for the next World Cup.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's true.
Do you think, Mark, that the squad will have a different look to it for those friendlies, or?
They usually do, yeah. They usually take the off-season Winter League players, so the Vegas Liga guys will go, with the exception of, I'd imagine, Riku Riski, who protested last time. So they should have a fairly different look about them, which is actually not a bad thing because there's a couple of guys that you'd like to take a look at. Although you know who really like to see Marcus Forrest get called up, and Oni Valakari. They're two young forwards that I think have got. They've been scoring goals at the league level. So
I think Valakari is a good shout. I mean, plus it's Norway, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Force, on the other hand, I mean, he withdrew from the under-21 squad for the last round just so that he could stay at Wimbledon and carry on, didn't he?
And he made himself a lot of friends.
Why would he want to stay at Wimbledon, eh?
Come on now, let's say nicely. Well, it did him a lot of good actually, because he's in a bit of a dry run at the moment. But he scored, I think, 7 goals in 5 games in October and got the League One Player of the Month award. So. And he wasn't allowed to play in the FA Cup in case he was cupped, or because he would have been cup tied. So there's speculation that he's heading back to Brentford in January, or possibly to a better club than Wimbledon for the second half of the season. But he will be, if he gets on another little run and bangs in a few more goals, he'll be one of those players that will never be forgotten down in southwest London. That's for sure. One thing I saw a really little bit of Onni Valakari when he was in ASIC a couple of years ago, before his dad sort of separated from the club, and all the Valakari offspring kind of left with him, and he looked lively. I like the look of him, and I thought he might be one to get some goals in Veikkausliiga, and he's gone on elsewhere and done that. I will give credit to Julian, friend of the show, Julian, I think who it was, who came up, who said that we should sing that his song should be sung, his name should be sung to the tune of "I Should Be So Lucky" by Kylie Minogue. And when you think about it, it actually scans as well. But I think we never actually got to sing it, unfortunately. He was off.
Maybe we'll sing it in the Euros.
Hey, why not? It could get a reprise.
Anything to do with Kylie, I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay, I think on that bombshell, we've reached half time. And Mark, do we have Yasilla Sipuli for this week?
Yeah, all right.
I did ask you before, but I didn't get an answer, so I can't lead you.
Let's go. Let's just take an easy one. Toppari. We can do Toppari. Toppari is like a centre back, like a big. I think it's sort of like Finnish for. I think it's Finnish for like stopper.
Yeah.
Toppari. And it's slang for a kind of a big hulky centre back. Oh no! Wait, revolution.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That we just went through. Topical.
Two for the price of one.
So you need to explain this revolution. I've asked you this before about where does Markku Kanerva get his nickname from? So maybe you can just explain it again.
So the Rive thing is from Rivellino, his favourite Brazilian player, which I got wrong last time. Time I tried to explain it. But I think Brazil came to play in Finland in the 80s, and when they did, it kind of was just like the massive fan of Rivellino, the Brazilian, and so he took his a nickname from there. And the Revolution is when Rive took over, played 4-4-2. You remember he took over straight from Backett, and we were dead on our feet. And at the end of that qualification period, we won 4 games. We went away to Greece and won.
Yeah.
I think that we won at home to Hungary. Then we won. I think we beat some minnow. I can't exactly remember. And then we went away and drew in Romania. And if we'd have won in Romania, we lost that was we drew with a 92nd minute equaliser or something like that. And if we'd have won that one, we'd have had a shot at qualifying back in 2000 and was it 18? Must have been 18.
It was 18.
Yeah. So that's when I think that's when everybody sort of took note and thought that Canada came in. We've been playing that sort of 6-4-0 under Backett for God knows how long. And Canada came in and we just played a nice quick 4-4-2 that looked a bit like Leicester City's. Jolle and Pukki up front, and we thought, this could actually work. And then from then, I think it was about 2018 that we called it the Revolution, after he got the job permanently. And now it's done.
Very good. Thinking on your feet. Good job. Well done. Let's start the second half. Let's have a little bit of a recap on Veikkaus Liga and where we're at till now. We had the two halves of the league, the Champions Series and the Challenger Series. The Champions Series and the Veikkaus Liga title was won by Kups.
Yes.
They won the final game of the season 2-0, which was effectively like a winner-take-all playoff away to second place FC Inter, and so they won the league by 5 points. We have a vested interest among the Finnish football show. Rich, you are a Kups fan.
Yeah, well, Hanne, Mrs. ETS, is she's from Kuopio, so was one of the first things we did when the first time I went to Finland back in 2008 was went to see Kups lose gloriously at home to Honka, and and since there it was I've never actually seen Kups win at home, so it's one of those weird sort of vagaries. I've actually seen them win away, but not at home. But it was the first championship in 43 years. So 1976 was the last time they'd won it, and they could have won it the week before, but they went to Inter and did a professional job. A sort of 2-0 away. 2-0 or 3-0? Can't remember. 2-0. And they turned up in style, and in true Finnish football tradition, their manager has left. A handful of their players have left. They'll be heading into the Champions League next season with a new manager. So they've recruited, and I'll bugger if I can remember his name, a Norwegian manager who won the title with, I believe it was Lillestrøm, a couple of times in the 80s. And he's got an assistant who's come from ROPS, sort of reserves, sort of grooming him for the top job in a year or two's time. But Champions League for Kups in July. Hopefully, if Kups are drawn at home in the first leg, that'll be on Hanny's birthday, and we're planning on being there for that. So fingers crossed. That'd be a nice birthday treat for her.
Yeah, nice. Where's the manager gone then, Rich?
Where could he go? Where's got money?
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he used to play for. It wasn't Asiko at the time. It was Taipei Seinäjoki back in the late 90s, I think it was.
Aha.
So there is a link there, and I think his wife's from Seinäjoki as well. But I will just pretend it's to do with dollar signs.
Yeah.
I went. So when he joined Honkavara, there was a meet the Cloppit event, which was held in the press, the media room that me and Mark were goofing around in last summer, and there was about 26, 28 sort of the supporters in there, all the seats taken, and the latecomers had to stand at the back. And it was a very relaxed. It was in Finnish, so very relaxed. And I didn't follow everything that was said, but he explained that his wife grew up in that direction, about 1 kilometer from the stadium, and he grew up in that direction, about 2 kilometers from the stadium. So he's coming home, and also explained that he had been working in Kuopio, but the family were based in Helsinki, and that's quite a schlep. Okay, you can fly, but even so, it's quite a
4.5 hour drive. We do it every time we're over.
Let's say that this is completely just a marriage of prodigal son coming home. I don't even know if he's being paid, Rich, to be honest with you. I think he's doing it for love.
Yeah, probably. That was, wasn't that Eremenko's excuse?
Where does that what does that second place finish do for Inter Turku then? Where are they going next year?
So they go to the Europa League.
Straight in, or obviously qualifying rounds?
Yeah, so there's 3 Finnish teams going into the Europa League. They all go into the first qualifying round.
Yep.
So you've got Inter as second place, Ilves, who won the cup, and Honka, who won the ridiculously convoluted
weird
playoff.
Second,
Yeah, so they came third and won the playoff as though they'd gone straight through anyway. So, the playoff, it was worth having for the sake of giving the season something at the end.
And for the return of Matt Candy, like
yeah.
the legend.
But I have to say, like that, obviously that championship going down to the last game, it was something we're not really used to, is it? In Finland, do you know what I mean? It was kept it exciting right to the last minute, and really a welcome change, really.
Yeah, because the last couple of times Hoiko haven't won it, Asiko and Ilkka Manningham, they won it
Sewn
on the
it up,
last day, but it wasn't a sort of a playoff essentially. At least this game was first against second. It was that sort of, I won't say Anfield '89 sort of thing, but it was winner takes it all.
Could have gone either way.
And it was, because it was essentially it was a playoff for the Champions League, and I think the Veikkausliiga were billing it as the biggest money one-off game that they've ever had, because I think they were saying that as a result of winning, Cups will probably get about €1 million from both prize money and Champions League.
Nice.
So for them, obviously the amount of money Ari Lahti's put in over the years, it's a little bit of a return for them, but it's they'll need a bit of that to strengthen over the winter.
Yeah, you were right about the convoluted playoffs. So
that was weird.
If I understand correctly, Huuhkajat Helsinki played Lahti. It was 2-2, and Huuhkajat won 4-1 on penalties. Mariehamn against Hifki Helsinki was 0-0, and Mariehamn won 4-2 on penalties. So then Huuhkajat and Mariehamn played each other. Mariehamn won 2-1, and that was then kind of like it was a one-off semi-final to go into the final. And was that two-legged? Was it just straight two-legs?
Two-legged.
Yeah, it was 2 legs. Yeah.
So that was Mariehamn playing against Honka, being the third place team, and Honka won both games, 2-1 away and 1-0 at home. So that's convoluted. But then I guess it's better than okay. If we'd had a procession at the top of the table like we have in the past, at least it keeps the next 7 or 8 teams interested.
Well, essentially, you've got the two teams came from the challenger or the relegation group, didn't they?
Yeah.
So at least because otherwise, and I think there's the problem with Scotland, or it was anyway, where essentially it's just there's nothing to play for. But
the whole thing's a dead rubber.
Yeah, but at least this team, and because Ilves had already won the cup, so because normally it would have just been Hifki, but because Ilves had won the cup, their place went to Lahti. So you actually had 2 teams from that group playing against the 2 teams above them. So yeah, I mean it's essentially and again on that last game of the season there were points to play for. So.
Yeah, it's weird. I think weird. It's not weird. It's unusual and it's a bit different. And it was the first year for doing it, so everyone was just scratching their heads at different stages. And I'm sure there were some people, like they were on Monday with the Euro draw, trying to predict what might happen. But essentially, play your first 22 games, then the league splits, play the next 5 games, and try and finish as high up in your series as you possibly can. And it kept everything going right to the end. I think even with the season that Asiko or Seinäjoki had, with 2 games to go, there was still a possibility of them being in one of those 2 playoff places, which seems bizarre after that season. But still, there was something to cheer for.
Yeah, and I think as well. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is that at least here as well, a lot of the games towards the end of that season, towards the playoffs, and then the playoffs themselves were televised. So there was a couple of the cup themselves on Saturday afternoon telly, which is pretty good for families and for building the culture. And it also got it got some news coverage. It wasn't it's never your main headline or anything, but it did get Finnish journos, sending out more articles and getting more coverage going. So anything that sort of develops interest like that, it's a good thing, I reckon.
On that point, in the past we've watched the Finnish national team games on Viasat or this Via Free online service, but the last 2 games were also on Nelonen or the Ruutu online service. Was that just for these games, or have they always been on there as well?
It's just for these 2.
Was it?
Just
Okay.
for these two that they picked him up, yeah, and I think as well. I'm not exactly sure, but I think the Ule have already announced that they'll have the rights and the deals for the Finland games during the tournament, which I
Yes,
thought was a
okay.
bit cheeky because I think they usually get the rights for or first dibs on the international tournaments, but it's a bit cheeky because they ditched the Huuhkajat like 2 years ago, so naughty.
Yeah, although well, but I suppose if they have the tournament, and I think they do a good job with the tournament in
Yeah,
previous
no,
years.
yeah, Ule do good. It's good tournament coverage, and their pundits are always nice, but it's still.
And maybe we should just round off the Veikkausliiga section by saying about the top scorers. So he kind of led the way most of the season. Filip Valencic at Inter played 27 games. Although actually, well, yeah, played 27 games, scored 16 goals. Was well ahead of anyone else. The next highest scorers both had 12 goals. Lauri Ala Muulamäki from Ilves and Boreas Martin Gonzalez from FC Honka. So good work, Valencic, and let's see if he gets sold to Glasgow Rangers when they sell on Alfredo Morelos, because Morelos is on his way. He's scored about 100 goals already since August, and no red cards yet. So it looks like Steven Gerrard has done some work on Morelos and turning him into a player, and they could lose him and Glenn Kamara next summer if the rumours are anything to go by.
Well, Morelos got his first Columbia cap this week,
Okay.
and I'm assuming Hoyko. Oh, did he?
Yep, scored the
wow.
winner in the 90th minute.
Okay.
But I'm assuming Hoyko have a clause in that because I think they have a 10% sell on for him going to Rangers. So they'll get 10% of any fee for him. And I mean, bear in mind the numbers they're talking are sort of 25, 30 million.
Yeah.
And then I imagine there'd be some sort of international cap thing in there as well, and goal.
He's putting down his changing attitude or behaviour down to Jermaine Defoe. I've read.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so a bit of a mature head striker coming in, and he seems to have done the trick. But if he does get sold on, it'll be a nice little payday for Hoyko.
Might pay him for a couple of years, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
Well, we've got one listener here to the show whose profile goes by the name of Hosut, which is trousers. So Hosut, if you're there, do you want to come on and say hi? Let's give a couple of minutes. You can click somewhere on the screen there. I can't see it, but somewhere to join the show. Do you want to come on and tell us if you're actually listening and why you're listening and what's your connection? While we're waiting to see if Hosud joins us, why don't we head into the injury time and our following feature? I'm going to hand this one over to you, Keke, because this was your suggestion this week. This is where we give our monthly nomination of someone that we know or like or follow on Twitter or other social, but it's generally been Twitter so far.
Yeah. So this week, this show, I'd like to nominate Aidan Williams. He's a sports writer. He writes for these football times, these footy times. He's done a bit with the Guardian as well, and the Athletic, and he's been really championing Finnish football and the Huuhkajat lately. So he got in touch with me on Twitter. Said he was a listener to the show. So hello, Aidan, and yeah, he's written a couple of fantastic pieces about the build up to the Liechtenstein game, and then the fallout from the Liechtenstein game and the celebrations. So go ahead and give him a follow. His Twitter handle is Yad. That's YAD_Williams. So at Yad_Williams. So give him a follow and have a read of his stuff. It's excellent writing. and his latest article features me. So what?
You didn't
What else-
mention
what-
that
James,
earlier when you
what-
nominated him.
What else do you need? You knew that. You've read the article already, surely. But I've retweeted it about 300 times. But no, but honestly, excellent writing. So give him a follow, please.
Okay, and I'll when we publish this and share the show on social media, I'll tag him as well, so he knows that we're waving back to
Lovely.
him. And I reckon that's just about it. Holzwood has not called in, so we'll say thanks for listening, or thanks for logging in and then disappearing off to do something more interesting.
I'm not actually wearing any holes. I'm calcering here at the moment.
Boy, herre jumala. We don't need to know these kind of things.
Like a
Oh,
sound
actually,
really.
we've got a message. We've got a message from Holzwood, so he is still there. It doesn't look like he wants to come on. That's okay. But he said, "I followed Escape to Sue Me on Twitter for ages." That's pretty much it. So,
Go.
bit of love there for you, Rich, and
Hi, Holzwood.
I'm gonna give Holzwood a round of applause. And Rich has given you a heart, so this is a wonderful bromance. And that is it for another episode of the Finnish Football Show. Get over and check out the new website. We're doing some work on it now to bring together a few different things. We're all going to start making sure we're putting some stuff out on there more regularly. We're going to organise, plan, and get stuff out to you more often, aren't we, boys?
Hopefully.
Oh, blimey, Charlie. And we're also going to work on bringing the podcast and the show notes, which are currently on my website, bringing those over to the Finnish Football Show site as well. So keep your eyes open on there. You can find us and follow us also individually. I gave the Twitter handles earlier. Rich is at Escape to Suomi. Mark is at FC Suomi. Rich is at Keke is at Keke Mülleri, and I am at Explore Finland. I'm more likely to be busy and active on the Facebook page, but if you tag me or message me, I'll see it eventually. So bear with me. You'll find our archive of video shows on YouTube. You search for Finnish Football Show and find the old videos on there. And if you're listening to the podcast, hit subscribe, leave a review. All of this will help us find a new and bigger audience, as will the Finnish national team actually performing on the pitch, which can't do us any harm either. So, Mark, thanks for joining.
Kiitos paljon.
Keke, thanks for joining.
Kiitos.
And Rich, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
This is Finnish Football Show 26 signing out.
Yep.